Chapter 13. Your hand isn't touching the floor. Yin followed Izuku into his apartment. He flicked on the lights, illuminating the studio. Let me grab some duffel bags. I won't be long. I don't have much that I need to pack. Sure, she muttered, watching him disappear behind a door, which led to his bedroom. She walked further in, looking at the picture frames that adorned the bookshelves in the living room. Most of them were of his friends. Yin could recognize most of them as pro heroes now. A few of them she worked with on cases. She recognized one with red hair and sharp teeth, another one with blue hair and glasses. She couldn't recall their names, but remembered they were fairly strong when it came to fighting. One photo in particular caught her eye. It was of Izuku sitting in a booth at a restaurant, beside a blonde-haired man and a man with dual-toned hair. They were popular heroes, though she couldn't put their faces to a name. They were smiling at the camera, holding a pint of beer in each. Izuku's face in particular was pretty flushed, his ears red and his bright smile sloppy. His hair was a mess, and the top 2 buttons of his collar was undone, his red tie loose around his neck. She found herself staring at his collarbone for a little bit longer than she meant to, her face tensing as she looked away. It was weird, seeing so many photos of him in different settings with so many different people. To think he had a whole life, likely full of laughter and memories, that made him who he was. She never saw more than him as a teacher until now. It hit her then, a strange feeling in the distance, to think that he had a life so big, so full, and so much of it had nothing to do with her. And here they were, pretending to be married. How were they supposed to be married if she knew next to nothing about him? She stopped herself. What was she feeling down for? It's not like it really mattered to her. They were just playing pretend, going undercover. She used to do this. Izuku returned holding a small backpack. Do you think you could pack up my bathroom? I don't have much, so you can throw it in everything you see. While Izuku packed his closet, Yin packed his toiletries. They remained silent, only the sound of clothes ruffling and bags zipping filling the room. While folding his clothes, Izuku could see Yin moving around in the bathroom, standing at the sink as she put up his belongings. Somehow, he could tell something was on her mind. That story, Izuku said, looking at Yin from inside the bathroom, of how we met. Was that the story you told? With sand volleyball? Yeah, I read it in a book. Oh, his voice dippered into a whisper as she watched from the corner of her eye as he carefully set his neatly folded pajamas into his bag. I see. I was going to tell a different story. One of how I actually met someone, but it felt wrong to do that. To use that story as a lie. Izuku paused, looking into the bathroom. She had gone back to packing, avoiding his gaze. I wonder if she means how she met Toji. I feel like it would be rude to ask. The photos in your living room, she spoke suddenly, pulling him out of his thoughts. We should pack some of those too. They'll be suspicious if one of us in the house is only decorated with photos I like. Yeah, right. I recognize your friends in the pictures. Yeah. All heroes, so that makes sense. Doesn't it bother you? He closed his closet. Filling his duffel bag with clothes, he slung it over his shoulder and walked over to the bathroom, leaning his shoulder against the doorframe. Does that what bother me? Yin turned to him, his green gaze piercing hers. She was quickly looked into the sink. I remember seeing you on television during the war, and you had so much buzz after you and the heroes saved Japan. Then you lost your quirk, right? I did, yes. You wanted to be a hero. Now you're a teacher, and all your friends got to become what you wanted, but you didn't. Does that not make you upset? She sounded genuinely curious. Izuku grinned at her. It doesn't, though most people don't believe me when I say that. Yin finally looked at him, whose gaze had fallen to the bathroom countertop. There's not a way to do anything. The same philosophy goes for being hero. It's true. I want to be a hero and become the next number one, like All Might, but I realized sparing a thought for someone else is the first step towards herodom. Everyone who thinks of theirs and others is a hero. Knowledge is power. Spreading that knowledge through teaching is just as heroic. I haven't had the privilege of training fully the next generation of heroes. It might not be as flashy as being a pro, but I still feel the same sense of fulfillment. Besides, my friends actually bought me a hero suit that allows me to move like I used to, so sometimes I still jump into action when needed. There it was, that wide, sincere smile. How could he smile when his original dream was crushed? Losing something precious like that, a dream, an item, a person. Why is he not most devastated? You're a very weird person. She scoffed, zipping the backpack closed. His ears turned red. Weird? Enough talking. We need to finish packing. Good, you're back. Atsura opened the front door. Izuku and Yin walking in with the duffel bags. My parents are on their way, so go wash up and get ready for bed before then. Sure, Yin sighed, setting down the bags on the kitchen table. Midoriya, you can bathe first. I'll go put your pictures around the house to make it believable. Okay, where's the bathroom? He asked. Upstairs, across from my bedroom. After leaving his stuff in the room, he went and showered. After finishing, he stepped out and wrapped in a towel around his waist while he brushed his teeth. Never in a million years had he imagined himself washing up at a woman's house, let alone his wife's. Sure, he wanted to get married eventually, but he was so focused with work and the thought never crossed his mind. He spat out his toothpaste and rinsed his toothbrush before putting it up in his bag. He looked up in the mirror, detangling his damp green curls with his finger, and suddenly he felt something scratch his leg. A loud shriek coming from something. Whoa! Izuku yelped, stumbling back against the bathroom door. His feet flailed beneath him, and something small kept scrambling at his legs, sending him into absolute panic. What was that? In his desperate attempt to escape whatever demon was attacking him, he finally managed to shove the door open, only for his balance to betray him completely. At the exact same moment, Yin happened to be walking past. Oh, shit! She tripled over him sporadically. The two were sent crashing onto the hardwood floor in a tangle of mess of limbs, landing with a thud so loud it shook the walls. A tiny blur of fur darted out of the bathroom and shot into her bedroom. What the? She groaned, trying to push herself up to her elbow. Dazed and more than a little bruised, she blinked down, only to realize she was sprawled directly on top of Izuku. He laid beneath her, wide-eyed and completely still, like he'd been hit by lightning. His damp, unruly green hair clung to his forehead, drops of water trailing down his sharp lines of his face and glistening skin. It took her a moment to realize he was naked. his bare chest and stomach rising and falling as he breathed. His face then turned an alarming shade of red. His eyes snapped shut, and his head jerked to the side, like looking at her directly would cause him to combust on the spot. The flush spread down his cheeks to his neck, then to his chest. Yin, can you please... your hand? He moaned, his voice shaking. Huh? She whispered. Her left hand was planted on the floor by his head, but her right hand was placed on something warm and firm, and definitely not the floor. Oh no, oh no, oh no. She slowly looked down between them, realization crushing her into a, frightened train. Oh my fucking god, she whispered, horror drawing in real life. Izuku shift under her, his body rigid, swallowing hard. Please, fucking hell! She gasped, jerking her hand away like it had been burned. She scrambled off him with the grace of a newborn giraffe and bolted to her bedroom. Slamming the door behind her, she collapsed face first onto her bed like a rag doll, letting out a long, muffled scream into her mattress. Then, still mortified, she started lightly banging her forehead against it, trying to ease the movement from her memory. A few moments later, the door opened. Izuku stepping inside, he had changed into a white shirt and black sweatpants, the towel sitting around his shoulders as he cleared his throat. Yin, please get out, she yelled, her tone clearly humiliated still. You really don't need to be embarrassed, it's fine. Out. Go. I can't really leave. We have to sleep in the same room, remember? He held up his hand, flashing his wedding ring. She froze. Her entire soul left her body. You're kidding, she whispered, eyes wide with dread. How do married people do this? What happens when they fight? Or when they do something humiliating? Do they still have to sleep in the same bed at the end of the day? That's kind of how it usually goes, Izuku muttered as he rubbed the nape of his neck. I'm sorry, Yin. There was something in the bathroom that startled me, so I tripped and... We don't have to replay the scenes of events, she interrupted quickly, holding up a hand like it was wearing off a curse. Sincerely, spare me. For a moment, there was a bless of silence, until Izuku suddenly gasped and pointed towards the corner of the room. Oh, there it is! Yin followed his gaze and pointed to a tiny white kitten curled up on its pet bed, looking completely innocent and very pleased with itself. The white fur ball of fluff blinked sheepishly at them, completely unbothered by the chaos it had caused. That's Bunny, Yin sighed. She likes to chill on the windowsill in the bathroom. That's why I didn't see her. She blends in with the wall, Izuku thought. He sat on the edge of the bed, drying his hair with a towel. No matter how much he tried not to think about it, his face burned at the memory of the incident. The warmth of her palm, the pressure, the way it laid against his... Whoa. He made a small struggle noise and yanked the towel over his face in pure mortifying embarrassment. Yin looked up as she watched him suffocate himself. This is going to be a very long month, she thought.